Love is our true divine nature, and our heart serves as the intersection of the spiritual and physical, connecting our soul with our body as the conduit for anchoring our divinity onto the earth plane. Embodying our divinity is the key to our ascension and to manifesting our highest destiny in this life. The teachings of the heart are alchemy. Join spiritual mentor and channel Jennifer Spohr each week on a sacred journey to lift the veil to remembering your divinity and meet other beautiful souls who are living the path of the awakened heart. Hey everyone, I'm super happy and excited to welcome as a guest to the show today my friend Melissa Edwards. She is an Earth Activator and Soul Guide, combining her background in spiritual herbalism, elemental essences, can't talk today, and the Akashic Records to help leaders align with the truth of their power. She assists these amazing beacons for humanity in transmuting their shadows, reintroducing them to their body's wisdom through nature, and reactivating their soul gifts. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. So excited we get to chat today.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you too. And we were already chatting before we hit record and laughing.
Good laughing. Yes.
Laughter is always good. Laughter is the best medicine. It sounds cliche, but like whoever came up with that saying, they were right on point, I think. Mm-hmm. So I'm so happy to have you on the show, and I'm excited for what is going to come forward in our conversation. I'd love for you to share with us more about your work and what inspired you to your path.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have to say it wasn't just one thing, but probably everything. So I'd say from the time I was a small person, it was, I didn't really like anything that I saw. I didn't understand why things were done the way they were. Nothing really made sense to me. And I just wanted things to make sense. And so I think from there, it just started my exploration into the earth, really, right? Like through plants, through nature, through the things that were already around us that were already informing us so much that we weren't listening to it all. And all the rules and laws that we had that seemed to be in direct contradiction to that, I couldn't understand. So even I think going then beyond just even my exploration was exploring what was actually existing on Earth now, right? And the darkness that brought us to where we are and why that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Curiosity.
Yes. And knowing things could be done differently. Knowing things can definitely be done differently. And just trying to, I guess, explore the how.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I know you and I have had we have a lot of conversations too about, I'm calling it embodiment. Embodiment has even in of itself kind of been turned into a buzz term, but it really describes it so well, is that so much of the time on our journey, we have an intellectual understanding of something, but we're more challenged, right? In actually grounding the intellectual understanding, whatever the awareness is, into our body. I'm feeling guided to bring this forward because something else that you and I also have in common and talk about a lot is our connection with the earth. Mm-hmm. And it's so magical and cosmic. And I wish I could put like a USB into my head and like share on the video screen what I see, But I would love for you to share more with us about what you believe in terms of that topic, right? Like the importance of our connection with the earth in relation to navigating our journey.
Absolutely. So one, there's a reason we were born into human bodies, right? Mm-hmm. We chose this for a reason. And the fact that a lot of us spend a lot of our lives trying to not be in our bodies tells you something, right? And I think for me and my understanding and what it comes down to is that initial teaching and conditioning of separation. We're separate from nature, which to me in turn just feeds our idea that we're separate from everything and anyone else.
Yeah.
So if we know that we are nature, if we are in right relationship with nature, we can then be in right relationship with ourselves. Because if we can just dismiss what literally provides and sustains us all the time, never seeing it, never giving gratitude, never cultivating it, never caretaking of it, then that probably means we can look at that and reflect that in our own relationship with ourselves. Where are we not doing that for ourselves as well? So to me, it all goes back to that idea and that illusion, really, that we are separate from any of it. And so, you know, people, oh, just go take a walk in nature, right? And it sounds silly and it sounds like it's
Well, and like
nothing,
it's
and
a
yet
task
it's so
to check off.
right, right. Instead of like, yeah, but if you do that, how do you feel?
Yeah.
Right? There's no voices telling you, you know, you're wrong, you were made wrong, there's something wrong with you. No, everything that was made out there is exactly perfect just as you were. And if you go and you just walk and be in that energy, one, you're allowing your vibration to lift to that of what is around you, of the plants around you. And two, you can also do a lot of the grounding and releasing of everything that doesn't belong to you while you're there. So we like to pick up a lot of other people's stuff as well throughout the day and throughout our lives.
Yes. And I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast are sensitive just as we are too, and probably really resonate with what you said. And we are nature. I mean, we are literally part earth and part heaven. So walking in nature is so much more than walking in nature. It's connecting with your family, you know, your relatives, like an extension almost of who you are. And like you said, a lot of people, because we're conditioned with very strongly within this illusion of separation, look at nature as, you know, and the earth as something different, but it plays just as important of a role on our journey and, you know, creating the reality that we desire, along with what you mentioned, you know, about healing too.
Yeah. I mean, things as simple as, you know, the fact that we think we can control nature in some kind of way,
Yeah.
right? Or that we can beat nature as though it's something to compete against, as opposed to something that we are meant to, you know, embrace as part of ourselves.
Yeah.
It causes, I think, a lot, it just feeds more suffering, right? In your human body.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I believe that we're meant to, I mean, that we are cyclic beings as well. And we're meant to align with the lunar cycles, with the various seasons, you know, based upon um, where we live. I believe we also have very strong connections to the land, you know, geographically speaking, that we're on as well.
And I think there's so many lessons there too, where if we just look at that, we can see where things have been often distorted in our humanness, you know, where we're like anti-aging, let's fight this as long as possible. Let's keep people alive no matter what the state of their aliveness is, right? And if you look, if you go into nature, right, there's nothing, it's not a fight for survival. It's like I thrive and then I'm done and then I'm giving back so that the next thing can come and grow more strong.
Yes. Yeah.
With more, yeah, just more
By
strength.
the way, like, I mean, when it comes to fighting like, you don't even have to fight aging if you just align with the cycles of nature.
Well, and that's the thing with the separation, right? We're conditioned to fight what is already natural.
Yeah. Yes.
against it. So we're
Yeah.
consistently, literally fighting against ourselves and our natural rhythm, as you said.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Um, I'd love to continue talking about the land a little more because a lot of people are feeling called to like move or relocate or even to go visit certain places. And at a surface level, you know, a lot of people assume that, oh, well, I've always wanted to vacation there, or, you know, or I think I'm moving to this place for a certain reason. But our choices in where we choose to live and visit, and especially even where we're born, in this current incarnation onto the earth plane, have a much deeper role, I believe, you know, in our evolution and also part of our own, you know, purpose and mission here. What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. And I think there are multiple reasons why that
Mm-hmm.
happens. One is that, again, our vibration and the vibration of the earth. We're going through our own evolution. The earth is also going through her own evolution. And so sometimes our time together in a certain place is complete. And then it's like, oh, the energy and frequency that I'm holding is maybe needed elsewhere
Yeah.
in another part of the earth, whether or not that's what we're consciously aware of, right? Um, and likewise, you'll see, you know, people be moving back and forth to different places because we're all holding a different frequency. We're all a different piece of that puzzle. And so there's something in us that can activate within the earth. There's something within the earth that's going to activate within us. Again, to have that human body experience, because our bodies are also here on their own little adventure, you know? And so putting all of that together, following, you know, and there may be more surface level things, right? Like you said, that we may be like, oh, I really love the pictures of that place. It really looks beautiful, right? But when you really feel into it, there's usually some deeper reason. Or once you get there, you find out, you're like, oh, look at all these things that happened, or look what happened at the place I left, or it just feels a lot more aligned as on a much deeper level than just, it's just a pretty picture of this place I want to visit.
Yeah.
And so I think we're just supporting each other, right? We're supporting the earth is supporting us in this consistent evolution and the activation and the work that you know, some of us are actively doing, right, with the earth, and also what the earth is providing for us in our own evolution.
Absolutely. And sometimes they're even just, it's kind of like a lock and a key or a big puzzle. You know, sometimes places that we're called to, it can even be as simple as that we have codes within us that are meant to connect with and activate codes that are within a certain location of the earth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's
Love
kind of
this topic.
fascinating. Yeah. It's kind of fascinating. Yeah.
It is super fascinating. Um, I'd love for you to share more about, you know, how you work with clients and maybe even some of the experiences, if there are any experiences that you might want to share about your work with the land, because I've had the honor and the privilege of working with you before, and like your gifts, especially with the gem essence work, are super powerful.
Well, I that was so much fun that we got to do that together. And yeah, because we all require something different, right? And I think a lot of
Mhm.
times, you know, again, being conditioned, especially in the West, to be like, oh, you need to go to one specific, go to the head doctor for your head, go to the heart doctor for your heart, right? As though we're not one whole living being with everything
That whole
affecting everything
separation
else.
thing.
Again, with the separation, right? So for example, you'd go to the psychologist or psychiatrist to get therapy for your mind, whereas when we're in the Akashic Records, we're going for therapy for our soul, right? So to me, you know, I started making flower and gem essences and realized, one, how subtle they were and yet how profoundly effective they were, because they weren't impeding on anyone. They weren't forcing anyone. They were just like, we're here when you're ready and you need us.
Yeah.
And so combining, what we did together was combining those methods of opening someone's Akashic records and going through a gem essence protocol, where we're literally looking at root cause of everything going on in the body, whether that's emotional, spiritual, karmic, whatever it is, right? And actually getting real answers to the physical symptoms that are presenting. Because as we know, our body is constantly trying to communicate with us. So once we have that physical symptom, it's like, hey, you weren't paying attention. You weren't paying attention to the shift in energy. So I'm going to make it a little louder. So that might prevent as pain or a poking or a whatever it is, right? Because again, our bodies are going through their own journey and adventure here.
Yeah.
And have a lot to share. And so, and I think too, having watched so many folks go through so much hopelessness and feeling so powerless when they go into, the Western medical model and have only that as their tool, right? Not to say it doesn't have its purpose, but it's also just one tool in the whole toolkit, right?
Yeah.
And so again, when we are combining these things, it's really looking at, okay, what is the body trying to tell us here? And when we're in the Akashic Records, again, because this is therapy for the soul, we can rewrite this. We can heal it in that moment. We don't have to suffer forever. We don't have to look at, let me come back and revisit this topic for 20 years, unless I want to.
Well, which, by the way,
something that I want to do.
Much of the personal development industry and even some spiritual communities perpetuate that. The wounded healer archetype, there's always something that needs to be fixed, and it has to be hard and long and drawn out.
Right. And, as we're saying, like when you go into the records, it's like, okay, therapy for the soul, because you can rewrite those records then, right? Because everything is just in the now. So, you know what? I want to I had this, every time I incarnated, I, pick something, right? I died in this way. Okay. Let me remove that memory. Let me heal, not even remove it. Let me heal and release that. Yeah. So that my body isn't carrying that still. Right. And the trauma of that, right? All the generational things, all the ancestral things. Do we have to carry those things forever? We don't have to do that anymore, actually. That's why we're waking up, so that we can say, oh, you know what? I actually have the opportunity right now to do something with that maybe my ancestors did not have the capacity, did not have the opportunity, did not have even the consciousness for, maybe. Who knows? Yeah. Right. There's multiple reasons. And so, in doing this work, it's really, and like an example is like people who, have been given diagnoses and they're like, that's it. The doctor's like, that's it. And this is what you have to do. And you have to be on medication for the rest of your life. And I've had people come to me like, but that's not what I want to do. That doesn't feel right at all. What else is there for me? And so rather than me saying, because I'm also a herbalist, right? And I'm, instead of me saying, well, my recommendation is, right, and more prescription, well, let's ask your body. Mm-hmm. What is it your body's needing? What is it your soul's needing to feed you, to nourish you? Yeah. What is it that they're needing to feel whole? Right? Not in a way because you need to be fixed in some way, but because we're learning through the process. What can we transmute in that process to turn into medicine? Yeah. Our own medicine. Yeah. Not because we're being punished. No, because totally. We're learning.
As I'm listening to you talk, something that is coming forward, I had a health condition a few months ago where I had to be on blood thinners, and they told me that I'd probably have to be on them the rest of my life once I got on them. And I laugh about it now, of course, but the whole thing wasn't that pleasant anyway. But I was like, no, that's not going to be my existence here. That's not going to happen, And so, yeah. And the end of that story is that I'm not on them. Like I cleared whatever that issue was, you know what I mean? That's what
Mhm.
I mean, right? Is because and I used the Akashic Records to do it. And I explored the deeper meaning behind what, the symptoms were, because everything that we experience physically has a deeper spiritual meaning. And like you were saying, going back again to that illusion of separation, everything is connected. Like I even had this week, like a little minor issue with one of the cuticles on my finger. So I look up, like, what's the meaning of this finger? Oh, yep. Like bingo, that's because that's what's happening right now. It's really cool actually, to see how, and to know and to see and experience the interconnectedness of everything. The Akashic Records are a fantastic tool for that. I don't even want to call them a tool, or like a healing modality, because they're part of us. They're an aspect of us. We all have them. We can all access them, and I mean, imagine what our world would be like if everybody was tapped into their Akashic Records. There would be like no conflict or war. And if there was conflict, it would be very short lived, because someone would do deeper exploration and realize that there's likely some type of unhealed trauma or inner child wound, that is causing the problem, which is the case, I guarantee, with all of the conflicts that we're experiencing in the world now. That's the root cause,
Absolutely. And I feel like it ties in again to, again, feeling like are you in your power or are you powerless in that situation, right? We're made to feel that we have no power over our own health.
Yeah, like
And
we have to reach
again,
outside ourselves again for like
right,
all the answers.
it's not that there isn't information there for us,
Yeah.
but it's that knowing that if we were already listening to our body, there is already information that's happening there. There's also, a doctor doesn't give you, final word. They're another human in a body giving you other tools.
Yeah.
So you can take those tools and you're like, okay, great. This is also more information. What do I want to do with this now? How do I want to proceed?
Yes, and beyond just even the intellectual intelligence, right? Like of a doctor, and their knowledge of the body, there is the frequency of consciousness within each one of those people, right? Like there's always a bias, because every human, we're very influenced by our individual experiences.
Yeah. And we're also taught that we don't know ourselves best, right? Somebody else knows better than we do about
Yeah,
our lived experience. And
exactly.
right. And so I think part of that, again, the power piece is like being separated from our own power, as though that's something outside of us, as though that's something else that somebody can give us or that we have to go take,
Yeah, exactly.
something that
Yeah,
we inherently have and can cultivate.
we could sure go down the rabbit hole on this.
That's a whole other, yeah, that's a whole other conference.
You gave us a free gift too that I am going to include a link to in the show notes for the listeners. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that is your, daily energy hygiene care kit, which as you go throughout the day, because again, we all are connected. And so if you live in a highly populated area, even if you don't, you're watching TV, you're scrolling on social media, whatever it is you're doing, we're taking in other people's things. We're connecting in with
Yeah.
other people's energies, their emotions all the time, right? If you live in a city, you know this because you go outside and like whatever the running emotion is very palpable. So if you
Yeah.
don't have your own field, right, well balanced and protected, meaning, what's mine is mine. We're just leaking and absorbing and constantly taking in. And so this care kit is just a way for like every day. Hey, when you get home, let me wash this off. Let me not take the entire city to bed with me tonight, right? Maybe I'll sleep a little better. My dreams will be a little different. And it's really just multiple ways. Like if you have a longer period of time, if you have a short period of time, maybe you're a healer. And so again, healers are generally very sensitive empaths, right? And so what are we taking on from our clients? And so a way to just kind of cleanse ourselves after every session, after every outing outside, whatever it is, that we are just cleaning ourselves, even if it's before we go inside of our door. So we're not bringing everybody home with us, or we're not taking everybody to bed with us. And my energy field is now again clear and just me. So that one, I promise anxiety will go down, because the amount of other people's energy swirling in your field is anxiety producing. Just thinking about it makes me anxious, right?
Well, most of it isn't even yours, right?
That's the thing. So I think once we learn how to cleanse our energy fields, very simple ways to do it. Doesn't have to be long, involved, as we were saying before. It can be something simple and efficient and done. Know and trust that it's done. And then you're ready and reset for sleep. You're ready and reset for the next day.
Yeah. Yes. I'm just pausing to think about, oh, there's just like 50 other things I could talk to you about.
And I just have to say too, it's like it'll feel like there's a lot less wind happening in your head, if that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah, it's super important for us to keep our energetic fields clear. Like I was saying before, most of what we experience isn't even ours. And even a simple practice as well is to, when you're feeling anxiety or any other kind of low frequency experience, to just stop and ask yourself, is this mine, or is it someone else's? And most of the time the answer is that's going to be someone else's. And when it is, it's fairly easy, to release that.
It's like, oh, right, I don't actually have to hold this. I don't have to hold someone else's emotions.
And if it is yours, and if it is yours, doing that deeper, just questioning, getting curious.
Right. Noticing it, not judging yourself either for it. There's a reason it came up. There's a reason. Yeah. No
judgment too. Like this is a whole other podcast episode, but to talk about, I've done it in the past too, like kind of poo-pooed the ego, but our ego minds, like our human experiences, our ego-based experiences, also serve a purpose on our journey. And there's always another invitation to mastery. I think it's just about what you and I have been talking about, which is continuing to be in a space of curiosity and without judgment, right? And to come from a place of learning, because that's really what is happening here. It's like our whole mission here is all centered around, how do I equally balance, right? Harmonize being a soul in this human body.
Right. With how am I balancing out the ego and the soul in this body? Because as you said, the ego has its purpose. Okay. Yeah. And so we have to look at, is it running the show? Is my ego running the show? Or am I actually running this on what my soul really desires?
Yes, absolutely. Melissa, in closing, what else are you feeling guided to bring forward?
That you're not separate from your power. I know I touched on this. This is something I work with people on. This is something I work with myself on all the time. It's not like I've mastered it either, right? It's a constant every day, right? Where am I sitting in my power?
Yeah.
Where am I being in my power without that distortion of what we've been taught power is? Or thinking it's something outside of us. How am I cultivating it within me? in a beautiful, compassionate, powerful way.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. It's ongoing. Absolutely. We're always evolving.
Absolutely. So I think once you start to work with the idea that, oh, wait, I am that. I am that power. It takes a lot of your agency back.
Yeah.
We don't have to blame, things that are happening on someone else. We can look at what is my part? What is the part I'm playing in this?
Thank you for that.
And how can I then change it if what I see is not what I like?
If someone wants to connect with you further, where is the best place for them to go?
I would say you could go to my Instagram, which is at honey.lemonbalm, or to my website, www.barefootsoul.org. And again, you can go down to the bottom of that page, subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll receive your daily energetic hygiene care kit right away. So you can start practicing with that.
And we'll have those links for everybody in the show notes as well. Melissa, what can I say? You're a gem. I love you.
It was so nice to chat today. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to Path of the Awakened Heart. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or pathoftheawakenedheart.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about living with an awakened heart and navigating your ascension journey, visit me at jenniferspore.com.